Alrighty, so it is week 7 and the last video you'll get from me for the semester. So I'd like to always start by saying thank you. Like, I hope this program, this class, so this is the beginning of the program for you. And I know many of you are taking this and 48B at the same time. So you're getting a lot of information about this topic. So I just want to thank you for being in the program, participating. It's been a real pleasure for me to get to know you through your writing and learn from you, as well as hopefully provide a structure for you to learn. And the thing I really this semester, as I included the darknet option for writing, it made me want to go watch even more of them, or watch, I say, listen to more of them. So it seems as if most of you who chose that option um, enjoyed it. So my question would be for you, and if you, because obviously there's no reply due for this, but if you have a suggestion for me, like would you say that I should, in going forward with this class, like drop the essay and only have the dark net? I guess my concern about the dark net is that those are dark stories. I mean, I know it's dark net and we know what dark net means and what it represents, but they're also dark. Some of those are very dark stories. And the thing I think I probably should have said a little better at the beginning was, like, really think like that. I love the first of those episodes where he talks about has this and this, and so if this disturbs you, move on. So I think I would have said a little more clearly, like, check those out before you do it. And I had you select 5, you ended up only doing 3. So all the essay folks are like, wow, maybe I could have done 3. Anyway, I appreciate you working through it with me with the prototyping, because this was the first semester and I just kind of did it, developed it as we went. So I appreciate your patience with that. But overall, I hope this course has um, been something that you found of value. And, I hope that you're thinking of, if you want to go back to section 0, going through prepping for the IT fundamentals exam so you can get that certification. Okay, so this is week 7. I'm going to cover week 7 and week 8. Week 9 is the final itself, and then we'll talk about schedule, and then that will be it. All right, so for week 7, we're going to do a discussion on cybersecurity breaches. There'll be a security section here, right? Principles, videos, and then at the end of this, you will post a presentation that you have completed. Okay, now let's go over this one first. On the cybersecurity data breach, the thing I added today, because I want to make sure I'm clear about this, is make sure you're writing in narrative style. Really resist the temptation, right? I'll put that temptation to post a question and then answer it, because that's not the idea. Is you want to make sure that your writing covers all the questions, or at least most of them, that are asked in this, like the cybersecurity, right? How do you keep up to date? You might think darknet, and some of those are a little more current, but some of them are a little older. So maybe that's not a good option, right? Think about like what you've read in the news, because there has been, unfortunately, way too many of these things, right? Some from the past. I mean, there's just so many you could lean in here to talk about. Um, yeah, what makes this an important story, right? And how has it been reported? Like, because I think you have to really kind of look at the reporting with an objective eye, because there is definitely sensationalism, I think, but also it's understandably people get concerned about this. And then would you offer, the industry leaders or policymakers any advice? Right. And this is where I put right in narrative style. Okay, so that's the week 7 discussion. And then for week 7, what you're doing is you're posting to me, right? So you're submitting your research. Now, so for the essay folks, for the folks that did the essay, your presentation as far as PowerPoint, you already had set up for the Dark Knight, and I said this here, right? You only need a couple slides. What I'm really looking for the Darknet folks, and remember, this doesn't have to be more than 2 or 3 minutes long. It really is very targeted. It's like what you would want, like what you would almost say to somebody if you were describing what you've learned, both on the essay and on the Darknet diaries episodes. right? But on the darknet, you only need a couple slides, right? Like for sure a title slide to cover the things you feel like you've walked away with, and then do a conclusion slide with the links to the stories that you covered. So that way, if somebody wants to go look at that episode, they have a link to it. Okay. And then, so that is a submission. Again, it's a URL. So what I would remember, and I've had to say this a couple times, and I understand it can be a little confusing because the way you're sharing it. But the way I look at things is I go over here, I go to incognito, which means I'm not logged in anywhere, which means you got to make sure you've shared it correctly. And I talked about that last week. So if you have any questions about that, make sure you do it. And some of you have just reverted to using Google Docs. That works as well because you can still in your PowerPoints, right, do that. So remember, right? So if you're in question about how to record audio in, I do know how to spell, in PowerPoint. PowerPoint's pretty simple. Now that's recording an audio that you've already added, but you can record audio. How do I record? Right, with audio, right? Open up the slide, put on screen recording, right? It's pretty simple. Again, you can, and I think generally in PowerPoint, what you're doing is just recording for each slide. You're not doing, so you can, it kind of helps you keep organized. Like I'm only have to talk about this one slide at a time. So if you're in question, right, this is the point where Google is your friend to help you do that. You always reach out to me for sure if you have any issues with that. But what I will do is make sure that I can view that in incognito mode. So make sure you're sharing it and I will listen to the presentation. You're going to share this next week with the class. So just know that this is just, your first draft to have me look at it or listen to it and look at it, I suppose should be appropriate. Okay, so that's week 7. And I'm going to go ahead and cover week 8 because week 9 is only the final. So then here in week 8, we have one discussion and then quizzes. Last discussion you have, and this is all about you. So we're doing 2 parts. One part, right, is really talking about your experience, and talking about it takes, depending on what your experience level is. Like some of you are going to feel like this was a fire hose of information coming at you. I don't know if you've ever heard that term, but just a lot at one time coming at you. So going through it a couple of times definitely helps, which is why taking the certification can be really helpful, right? So anyway, that I think this is really just asking, right, about after completing this class, talking about that, how do you feel about just the information, and then, you know, the online learning. How did this work for you? So really, this is the part you're writing about right here. Okay. Yeah. So this is actually interesting. Is do you have tools to help you study the information? Would you have rather done 2 shorter projects? So in this case, I think what I'll do is modify this to kind of what I said before. I should have been reading this a little closer and modifying it. And like for those of you who did the essay, when you looked at the darknet content, did you feel like you wish you would have done that? And then for those that did the darknet at some point, did you feel like, oh, I wish I had done a traditional essay, or just your experience of doing that one, right? And did you realize this is actually 16-week course over 9, right? And how would you change the course to meet your needs? These are great things. Remember, again, narrative writing, okay? So it's not writing a paragraph to cover these topics should be doable. And then in addition, so this is worth 35 points this week. And then in addition, right, sharing your presentation that you gave to me last week. Now you're sharing it with everyone. Write about something and make sure you reply your replies for this work. Yeah, so for somebody, listen to somebody else's presentation. I think really the replies could be more focused here on the presentations because it's good to give feedback. Students have worked hard on this work and it's good to do that. Okay. All right, so I'll update that content there going over that. So now in week 8, I already said we're doing troubleshooting. Troubleshooting is one of those skills that the more I do it, the better I get at it. I do a lot of it. I'm doing a lot of it right now in a solar system I'm helping set up, learning new stuff. So on the final week 9, not all you have, is the exam. So I have a due date here of the 9th. So let's just go look at that on the calendar and complete with that topic. Is if we roll forward, right? So if I roll forward, let me pick this class versus my other class. Oh, and for those of you that heard me plugging my CIT82 class for the back 9, it has been canceled because I'm actually picking up CIT85, which is HTML and CSS. If you have an interest in that, it'll start after this class. So at this point, we're on the day after Valentine's Day. So let me roll forward so we can see this. So you will have on that Sunday night those items due. Again, making sure you're posting the discussion on Wednesday. I do mark off points for posting late, and I do give feedback as soon as I see those posts. So Thursday night by midnight, you need to have completed the exam. Now you can take it multiple times. Let me just verify this. I think you can. Actually, yeah, not edit it. Hold on. Let me go look at that real quick. Yeah, it is multiple attempts. Okay. So, I mean, the due date, of course, is set to be midnight. Know that when I get up Friday morning, I'm going to download all the information I need for posting grades. So there'll be no work submitted after I wake up on the 10th. And so don't put yourself in a situation, right, to do that. What late work at this point, I know the syllabus said, you had to contact me, but honestly, if you're at a point at this point, you've made it all the way through taking the final and there's a couple things you want to submit, I will take that. It will be discounted about 25% for being late, but I'm telling you, if you're trying to make the difference between a C and a B, that's good. Canvas gives you the ability to go in and do the what if. If you've never done that, you can place grades that it's like, if I did this work, what grade would I get? If you want to know more about that, let me know. I find most students have done that, so they're pretty well equipped to answer that question. Because if you're asking me, how do I get, and let me just give you my video for a minute here. If you're asking me, like, how do I get an A? I'm at a B, how do I get an A? I would point you back to the grade book in Canvas to do where you put in the grade that you think you can get more of, but know now at this point, especially not especially on the discussions and on the submitted work for around the essays of the Dark Knight. Those are the ones I discount. I'll be completely honest. I don't do it with the quizzes. It's just too much to go in there and do those, and it doesn't make sense. So those you can do without late penalty discounts. Okay, so when I wake up, that the 10th of March, I will, at that point, take no more work. I will get the files ready, and then I will place grades in the Web Advisor. You don't see them for a couple of weeks, I think, but here's what you can know. Whatever your grade in Canvas is what I will be posting into Web Advisor for your official grade. So, if there's any questions about that, please let me know. But otherwise, thank you very much for your time and your attention. I hope you have a good rest of your semester. And hang out on the Discord. I think we're going to have more and more activity. It hasn't been a lot of activity this semester on Discord, but we've had a little. And I look forward to that community of cybersecurity folks growing out there. All right. Have a great one. And this is it for me. I'll talk to you soon. Oh, by the way, in this week 7, I've released all the content for the rest of the semester. So if you wanted, you could work ahead, meaning finish a little early based on your own time availability. All right. Have a good one. See you later.